So please welcome Rachel Corpus to the show. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Oh, it's so amazing to see you and have been, going down your rabbit hole, as I say, and listening to you and learning from you. And, I'm an angel girl and I always pray to the angels and have taught my girls that. And it's part of our morning routine and daily routine, really. It's part of my life. So when I learned of you, and I think I learned of you before we even connected to do this. So that was like, oh, that's her. I get to interview her. So it's so amazing to connect with you. And I look at, where we are in this world right now and knowing how you came into my life at this time today. It's all exactly perfect, like everything is.
Oh,
So when I look at your life and I look back, I would love for you to begin because you are an angel in a human body. And I always have been, up until I met you, with the understanding that angels that I pray to and that I talk to have never been a human. So you've like opened up a whole new can of worms. I don't a can of
yeah.
angels for me. So start wherever you want. I know with your near-death experience when you were 4 and the car accident with your parents coming home from either ET or Star Wars. Um, and past your bedtime, so you're asleep on your mom's lap. But I know that played a big part in this journey. So wherever you want to start would be amazing.
Mm. Well, thank you for that. Well, you are correct that angels typically have not been human, and that, you know, well, all of us, every person that you look at, their insides, their gooiness, all of us are created from source. We all belong to source. And so we all have this really cool origin story. And angels are no different. Typically, angels are in the angelic realm. And there are different types of angels. So there are some angels that are always in the angelic realm. And then there are some angels that are earth angels. They're hybrid angels. That's not me. But those earth angels have one parent where that lineage is human, and then one parent that is pure angel. And if we want to use a biblical reference, that all happened kind of before the time of Noah, where there was some um, angels that were sent to watch over humans, and frankly, they fell in love. And so a whole population of hybrids was created. And in the Bible, it says that that God created the fallen angels were sent to watch over that population, but there really are no fallen angels. They were just rehomed. And angels aren't religious anyway. They're just beings made of love and light. So sometimes religion has a different story because it was written by man. And then there are angels from the angelic realm that are there all the time. And then there are some that are like me, where I was provided a mission. I took that mission, and then my insides, my gooiness, my spirit is complete angel. And I was born through a mom and dad. And then at some point in my life, I was going to remember that I was angel, or I was going to be told I was an angel. And that happened in my first near death experience when I went to the other side. They showed me my dwelling place, my office, my locker,
Huh.
and they said, "Hey, you can stay here or you can go back." And they, told me some things about the world and about what my life would be like. They reminded me of my angel mission. And so, yeah, there are different types of angels, just like there are archangels, there are cherubim, there are seraphim, which is what I am. there are dominions, there are virtues, all sorts of different types of angels. So there's an archangel named Archangel Metatron that I work with a lot, and he's the only archangel that's had experience being human. It's human and angel. The rest of the archangels have never been human before. There are other angels, pure angels like me, that are walking the earth right now, just like there are a lot of star seeds that people talk about right now, people that are from other planets, and they're also representatives of God with skin on. They're just from a different place. We're all from someplace miraculous. So if you look at it like that, I'm rather common, doing my thing.
Oh, I love it. Gosh, when I've been learning from you about, if I used to be, I've had a few like readings that they would say I was an earth angel. So I'd always be curious of looking into that. And I didn't know that was, regardless if I am or not, knowing that happened. I never heard that before. So that is such an amazing lesson for me. But when you wake up from your near-death experience at 4, I know that like, how do you go? I mean, we both had children, so we know as a 4-year-old where they're at in their, um, you know, development. Where are you doing? What are you doing now? Are you seeing the angels everywhere? I know you went to church in the Catholic Church and you would see them in the you would look up and see the angels. So you always had that ability. You had that
Mhm.
connection.
Well, yeah, prior to the near death experience, I was seeing spirit and angels and um, really growing up like a psychic child. And then after the near death experience, when the angels had shown me that I was an angel, when I came back, what was different, the significant change was I was then aware, I came back with an awareness that I was an angel, and something significant happened in that near death experience that changed me significantly. When I was out of my body, I was hearing a grown-up woman's voice, and it was first almost startling, and it took me a while to figure out whose voice that was. Well, it was this voice, it was my voice. So I was vacillating between my 4-year-old self and my conscious self, my angel self. And because that angel self was part of that near death experience, first of all, that's why I remember it so well. I wasn't in my 4-year-old brain, because I really don't have a lot of memories from my childhood. I really don't. But I know everything about that near death experience because I was in my angel consciousness. Then, after the near death experience, that angel consciousness stayed with me. So I was still a 4-year-old doing all the 4-year-old stuff. But I also had the voice of what many might think would be a guide, but it was actually this. I've always had this grown up voice with me ever since I got back from my near death experience. And as I grew up, my younger voice just turned into my ego. And she stayed with me, and I can still kind of hear her sometimes.
Hmm.
But I just grew into this version of me. So the way that played out in an everyday scenario would be, when I would encounter angels after that, they'd say, "So now you understand? So now you know who we are? So what do you want to do with this?" Then if I would see a person who hadn't crossed, then I could help them cross over. Instead of just observing them, I could participate with them and work with them more. If I saw a worm that was about to die, instead of just moving it into the shade, I could bring it back to life. I could do things like that,
Hmm.
do the miracles of Jesus. Now, when I grew a little bit older, I would say 7 or 8, I couldn't do those things anymore because the rest of the world started to say, "That's strange. That's impossible." Then I started to have more of I would say, a regular life. And I just didn't want to be different. So my gifts started to fold back in.
Mhm.
And that happened a few times in my life where I just wanted to be a person. And free will is a beautiful, beautiful gift because as soon as I would say, God, I don't want this, or if I was maybe not talking directly to God, but to God's helpers, the angels, I would say, guys, I don't want this. I just wanted to go to the dance. I want to go to the store. Whoosh, everything goes quiet. And I can
Hmm.
still do that today.
Huh. You talk about you've had 7 lifetimes as a
Yeah.
human. And
Yeah.
how do you know that? And I'd love to talk about past lives because you talk about how you can go back to your past lives and see the role of your husband and the different roles that you've played together.
Yes. Any anyone can have access to their past lifetimes. We all have that ability. And that can be something we practice through meditation. I would say I have it a little easier because as an angel incarnate, that's just part of my toolbox. I come equipped with all of the wisdom kind of at the ready that I've already gleaned from the other lifetimes. Um, Sitting with you right now, it's not like they are movies running as I talk because that would be hard on me, I think, emotionally, but they're right here. And if I turn a certain way or if I change my frequency a certain way, which is kind of hard for me to articulate how to do that, but I can teach people how to do it, then I can access a certain lifetime or I can access a certain nexus point of that lifetime and either bring that wisdom in through a memory or beautifully copy what happened and paste it into this timeline so I can experience it now. And I really appreciate that. Sometimes I can even go into the future, which is lovely because that's a timeline on its own.
Mhm.
And I've had 7 Earth lifetimes because there's so many other places to incarnate that I've been called to go, but Earth is an interesting one. And in those 7 lifetimes, I like this lifetime, I've packed in about 10 lifetimes worth into this lifetime, which we can all do. So it's been a lot.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've been here 7 times, and each time I've been able to see how my husband's been here, been with me, and yeah, it's quite fabulous. But yeah, anyone can do that because our past lifetimes, or we could call them our other lifetimes, they belong to us. That's our, could say, our intellectual property, our own wisdom. That's our Akashic records. That's our story. So of course we get to access them. It's with us all the time. It's just finding simple ways to do that through meditation. We go into them in our dreams all the time.
Mhm.
Do that in our wake time as well. It's a great practice to do.
Yeah, I was listening to you talk about it's like a manifesting tool that the angels taught you about, like the smell, like this, I think you were
Yes.
talking about the smell of baked bread or how you
Yes.
can access, like, I want to live on the beach. And if I can imagine that. So what I was taking from that was my imagination. If I can imagine me living on the beach, that's
Mhm.
already happening. I just need to bring that
Into this
into
timeline.
this timeline. Will you explain that, please?
Yes. Right. Anything that you imagine in this timeline is already happening in another version of you, whether that's a parallel, which means another lifetime that you're living now, looks like you now in the multiverse, or it's another lifetime where you're in a different body costume, different time period, could even be a different gender. But let's just say a different version of you. If there's something now that you wish to heal, amplify, create, anything that comes to you, you can promise yourself it's already happening somewhere. So the practice that the angels downloaded to me was you create a scent that's meaningful to you. They suggest fresh baking bread, even if it's a candle, it's okay. You get that scent ready to go, and then you you visualize what you want to create, heal, or amplify. And you do a dress rehearsal in your mind, every detail possible, plus the feeling. And if you have trouble with the feeling, go to another part of your life where you can muster up that feeling or close to it so that you can remember something similar, so you can bring that into your cellular system, into your brain, into your heart, and then match that feeling with what you're trying to imagine. So let's go to the beach reference. All right, well, I've been to the beach before. I know what that feels like. So I'm going to let that go into my body. And let's say I'm trying to manifest a house near the beach. Okay. Well, now I'm going to be on the deck of that house. And as I rest on that deck, I'm going to pay attention to what I'm looking at. All right, tops of my feet, the ocean out there, and I'm going to bring in the feeling. Okay, what time of day is it? Are there birds up there? Every detail possible. So here's my dress rehearsal. I'm going through that, looking good, feeling good. When I'm ready, I'm going to bring in the smell. All right, fresh baking bread it is. Light that candle. When that scent is ready, I'm going to pull in the vision and the feeling again. Inhale the scent. When I inhale the scent, that's the moment I'm copying that reality from whatever timeline it lives in. Smell it, copy. That's on the inhale. Then when I exhale it, it now belongs to this current timeline, which allows this timeline and the universe to begin to, like Legos, build that into this timeline. Now, my responsibility, after it's done, it's done. I don't need to make more copies. So I get to remind myself when my human doubt comes in, did that work? That was so easy. Well, I get to remind myself, yes, it's done. Second thing is, now I get to ask myself or plan, what are my reasonable, actionable items to make this happen? I get to do the holy work to make it happen. Do I get to save money? Do I get to make what plans do I get to make? Because this spirituality isn't passive. So that's the process. Breathing it in like fresh baking bread.
I love that. And
Yeah.
it's like, we learn, the law of attraction and that's a common, the visual, the feeling, but just how you do that with the timeline. And, I've been understanding as I learn the way time works, right? It's all happening right now, and I've done past lives. And so I understand that too. And I can see that when you're talking about getting to that place, it's like it's like when I'm journaling, because I do a lot of automatic writing and for my
Mm,
way of channeling, it's like that trust and that knowing, and you just go and you just don't question it, but it's getting
yeah.
there. And when I go to my lives and I see the patterns and the things that I've done and understanding why what I in this life, the commonalities of all those together were like, no wonder I love the things I love, because I've loved them in all these other lives. That's my
Yeah.
soul, that common part of my soul, right?
Yes.
So for you as an angel, and you've come here 7 times, every time you've come as a human, you have been an angel. So you can't take that away.
That's right. That's who I am. And even if I were to incarnate on Pleiades, I might be wearing that costume, but inside I'm an angel. As a seraphim, I don't look like this. Seraphim are wheels of eyes.
Hmm.
This is my human costume, but underneath it all, and here I enjoy being a mama, being a wife. I love that. And underneath it all, I am an angel, always, no matter what I do, where I go. So yeah, And underneath that, I'm source, just
Right.
like everybody.
Right. So for someone, so you're an angel. Could I need to figure out, am I an alien? Am I a plate? Like, how do you know that? Or do I just say I'm from source unless I've been um, notified from a near-death experience that I am an angel or an alien or
Mm. Well, you can go into meditation and you can put your hands on your heart, eyes closed, and you repeat the question, tell me who I am, or tell me my origin. And then you find the words that match your vocabulary. Tell me who I am, tell me my origin. You find the right words. And what you're doing when you say those questions, and it's recommended that you say them out loud because it'll keep your brain on track.
mm-hmm.
You're matching the vibrational frequency of the question, and you're sending that out to your guides, to the universe, to God, like a phone call. And you're staying in the vibrational frequency of that question versus, I wonder who I am. I could be this, I could be that. I'm going to do an internet search. Then you're flipping into the frequency of the answer, which is not your job. You just keep repeating the vibrational frequency of the question. Who am I, God? Who am I, God? Who am I, God? Just stay there. Repeat the question, and you have your hands on your heart. So I don't know why they like you to do this. I have no idea. But what's nice about it is you can feel the sound of your voice coming out. So it calms you. Then, when you can, go silent. And you're not even listening, you're just going silent. If your brain starts to wander, go back to the question, who am I, God? Who am I, God? Go silent again. Then prolong the silence as long as you can. Then wait for the answer to drop in. This could take an hour. This could take a month. But this is how you access it. And you can access any answer that way. But you stay in the frequency of the question. Stay away from the frequency of trying to find the solution, not your job.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
For that.
I'd say the other thing that would be helpful is notice what you're drawn to. If you're always drawn to a certain look, or if you're drawn to cats, well, maybe you're Lemurian. Maybe if you're always looking at the stars, a certain constellation pattern, research what's behind that. Your higher self and your angels will give you clues to your origin, absolutely. And you wouldn't have that internal nudge, that intuition, just because. Source is going to give you that. Your higher self is going to give you that nudge on purpose, not just to tease you. So that's
Right.
an idea too.
Yeah, I love that. So, since everything's happening all at this one at once, your 7 lifetimes as a human are all happening right now too.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay. And your focus right now is as Rachel.
Mhm.
And that is, how do you explain that? So I always believe that, and what I've learned, some of it from you, but um, what you're doing now as Rachel is shifting all those other timelines, like your ancestors and the traumas
Mhm.
and all those things. What you're doing now in this focus in this body, right?
Mhm. So the best way that I handle that is doing the least amount possible. And let me say that a different way, just being. I wasn't always this way. I come from a background where I was meeting deadlines, stressed, not very nice, drinking a lot. And I think at one point, and I've talked about this on different interviews, my oldest daughter even asked me if I liked her, and that gutted me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was really into the doing. And I don't think I thought twice about it. I thought, well, that's why we're here. And when I was living that way, if we think about the quantum mechanics of it, all my lifetimes felt very separate. I was working really hard. I'm sure that this I'm sure that this lifetime is my core lifetime, and that the fact that I was doing so much and working so hard was affecting those other lifetimes in a way that those were all experiencing struggle as well. And I certainly didn't know myself well. I don't think I wanted to, honestly. And so when I started to make the shift towards self-love and just going quiet, which was very hard because I channel, and I'm my brain is everywhere anyway, just as a person. So when I built practices to sit still, then things started to change. And when I built practices to like myself first, to move through feelings instead of bypass them, and that led to self-love, then I felt my other lifetimes moving together. And then I started to feel in love with them. Literally, I felt the love. Like, can compare it to, you either wear a scratchy sweater that you can't wait to take off, or you're in a sweatshirt that's really soft inside, and or you're like at a cold football game. You're like, I'm okay though, because this is the best sweatshirt I've ever had on. Feels like that.
Hmm.
Feels great. Um, Really, my life changed when I started to meditate, and I had to find ways to meditate that matched me. I couldn't do 2 hours like Buddha on the mountain.
Right.
I had to start meditating, washing the dishes. And then with my body being a little busy, then I meditated just kind of going to sleep at night with an eye mask on, with white noise or brown noise. And now I can do it sitting up for a half an hour or 45 minutes and just listening. Um, but I hope people listening, I hope this helps, because I don't want to present as, well, she's got it together, she's an angel, must be easy. No, babe, I worked for this. And I still get to engage with my ego, who can be real mean and very human. And I think it's our greatest gift to be able to work on our spirituality and realize that the more we like each other, like ourselves, and love ourselves, the more we have for each other,
Mm-hmm.
and the more we can pull our other lifetimes in. And even if we don't know in particular what we went through or what the wisdom is, we can feel it. We feel more complete. And I notice that more than anything. I feel a more complete sense of self. I feel my energies field more. I fill my skin up more. I
Hmm.
feel better in my skin.
When you, as a mom, where do you, like, even what age are you talking to them about? When do you start introducing them to the spiritual world that you are from?
In my house, from the very beginning, because I've always been authentic about who I am. Um, for my children, I worked in the religious field for a while, so for a while it was more Christianity, more religion for a while, and that didn't work for us as much. It didn't feel as personal. And I don't think that was a religious problem. I think it was more of a me problem because I was dragging my kids to church on Sunday and it was more like, we got to go to mom's work. So I don't think it was engaging really for that reason. Um, but then when I wasn't serving churches anymore, we started to talk about God more at home because the joy came back and my kids were able to find it on their own. But I've never held back who I am. They're talking about who I am as an angel or a psychic. That's always been very free and open at my house. And it's enabled my children to have their own views. One of my children isn't very spiritual at all, but goes to youth group for the social stuff. One of my children is very religious and sees spirit at the same time. And then one of my children is very psychic and very woo-woo.
Hmm.
I would say what I would like to say to parents is stay as neutral and open as you can
Mhm.
for your children. Just meet them where they are with
Right.
the attitude of, well, that's interesting. How can I support you?
Yes. Oh, I do that. And I actually have a class that I teach children, and I go to schools around around this area and teach amazing things, the gratitude and little things that they can learn. And it just lights me up. And those are in my past lives too. So I know that why it lights me up so much to be around those children is that's been
Yes.
part of me. And, as a mom and how I cherish that so much in my life, it's like watching them and now as teenagers, knowing that I did plant the seeds and now it's coming into, now they're blooming. You see it come to life. You don't know it's really working. You just keep planting and planting and being that person, that you are, like being me, and
Yeah.
and then watching them now, it's like it's just such a gift to have that. Not, I think as when they're younger, you don't realize, as my point, and now as the older they get, you're like, wow, like they were listening and they were
Mhm.
so anyway, I'm just experiencing that magic right now in my life with them and seeing that. So anyway, I want to talk about this new earth, this shift, this all the words that are, the all the words that we keep hearing these days, and the way this 2025 has started off, and how you see it as like an earth experiment, why we even are here on this, like we picked this time, like this part of our soul is in this body wanting to do something right now, experience this shift. How do you, how can you explain that?
Everyone now could look around and promise to themselves that everyone they see, they have, we have all been together in the other lifetimes, and that we all plan to be here at this point together. And the people who didn't sign up for it, well, they're choosing to pass. And they're likely helping on the other side. And this great awakening, this age of Aquarius, it started to, that timeline opened up in 2012. We started to see that new timeline present itself. And there are moments of absolute peace that we can walk into that timeline or walk onto it, I guess we could say, or experience it. It's not a place. It's a knowing. It's a way to exist. And it's like we shimmer into it. But what's happening is when we experience that new earth timeline where that experience is everyone is equal, there is no need for conflict. And when we're there for those moments, when we experience it for those moments, our DNA shifts. and our consciousness shifts back to its original state, which was the purest love. So then when we shift back out of that 5D or out of that new earth, and we're where we were just a second ago, we go back to the other timeline, we're like, whoa, I want to go back. Well, I don't know what that was, but I want more of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been hopping off and on this timeline, but every time we come out of it, the new earth timeline gets a little bit more colorful so we can see it. That rainbow gets a little bit thicker. And this timeline that we're on, maybe if we don't feel well, or the news is getting a little bit too loud, it gets a little more brittle, like a saltine cracker. And okay, we used to think that saltine cracker was going to nourish us, but it doesn't. It doesn't stay in the belly for very long. It's not too salty. So it's not doing its job anymore. And so this new earth timeline, we're realizing that's what's sustainable now. And at some point, it's going to envelop the other timelines. They just won't be able to survive anymore. So what is going on, from what I can see as an angel, is that the new timeline is a constant invitation. It's always open. And the other timelines are not a punishment or anything like that. They're just dying. They're just not needed anymore. We have all these children being born who are being born right into the timeline. They don't even know there's another timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And they get passionate and sometimes frustrated, but it's a different kind of frustration, a different kind of resonance to their passionate frustration, because it's about justice. So they don't get mad and hurt anybody. That'd be the old timeline. They're like, okay, are you ready? Come on, let's build new systems. That's the new earth timeline. And if we look into the future, at some point, we'll have better systems in place for better soil, better markets, better government. Things, our big systems are being reworked as we speak, from the ground up, or sometimes from the middle and out. They're just like blowing up. And I don't think that's being represented very much in the media. We're just seeing a little part of it.
Right.
From churches, from schools, from politics, from money. And I don't want to say don't participate in the news or don't participate in it. That's not it at all. But just know you're not seeing everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we are invited to, again, go into meditation, because then you get to go into your own, you get to go with source, go in and answer that invitation to go into the timeline and sit in the meadow, sit in peace. When you're in that timeline, you can still feel your feelings. You're not off the new timeline. Feel your if you're angry, you can feel it there. Let your angels take care of you there. It's not all puppy dogs and rainbows there. No, you can still be a person. You'll get clarity there. It's new. It's a new way of being. Doesn't whitewash anything. It's a new way of being.
And talk about the way our bodies are turning into crystalline beings and how that works.
Because the frequency, the vibe is so different there. As we spend more time there, our bodies will adjust. So here, let's say we're in the 3-dimensional timeline, pure human timeline. Well, we're used to existing here with processed foods, maybe even altered weather, things like that. Okay, chemicals in the grass. So where our bodies are used to existing, matching that vibrational frequency. We could do that for a long time. We're used to it. We probably have a lot of microplastics in our brain, for example. When we go into the new earth and we're there consistently, our bodies are going to start to adjust to that, so much so that our bodies will need different hydration, different food. We'll start to crave. You'll know if you're in the new timeline because you won't want as much meat. You'll want leaner meat, grass-fed meat. You will get really thirsty because you'll want to detox your body. You'll want at some point maybe no meat, and you'll go all to fresh veggies and fruits, brightly colored foods that are crunchy and satiating. You'll crave the outdoors. You'll want to commune with nature. And you'll have an appetite for justice. And you just won't want to be around situations where there's negativity. As you are there, your body will start to adjust and become more crystalline. Because if you look at the God structure, if you look at what God is actually made of, that's crystal. And you have crystal in your brain, your pineal gland. Your whole body will be made of the pineal gland at some point. Your connective tissue that connects you to God, your whole body will be made of that at some point. The timeline for that, I have no idea. It's different for everybody. What I know is that when we first started talking about New Earth, it seemed like you'll die and on the other side, you'll be in your crystalline body. No. That's not what they mean anymore. It means that at some point, you'll turn into the crystalline body. I don't know if it's everybody all at once. No, I don't think so. I think it's everybody when they're ready. You'll start to progress into that because it's a different timeline. Maybe one version of you is in the 3D, another version of you is in the new earth. I don't know. That's for each person to discover.
Are the children now being born in that way, or do they have to get here and then become that?
It depends on each soul, where they are in their growth. There are some children that are pure crystal children, and they know, their parents know, their eyes are crystal blue. You might run into some of them when you're in the elementary schools.
Mm-hmm.
See some of them. Yeah. This is why the education structure has got to change.
Yeah. How did you educated your children? Homeschool one of them? Didn't you do something
I
different?
homeschooled for a little bit, yeah. And then I taught in the school system for a good 7 years before that. Yeah, so I'm well aware of the education system, and it's beautiful. It's got a lot of great parts to it. I'm also aware that it doesn't match a lot of the kids or a lot of the teachers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just ready for a change.
Yeah, for sure. You know, experiencing Paige in college for her first semester, understanding, you know, and I just look at it so differently. And, you know, it's like, it's first of all, the money that you spend for 4 years on these classes that have no relevance to really what she's interested in. And to be
Yeah,
going through the motions in this time that she could be finding her passion, you know, and doing these different things, and where the world is you know, with technology these days, you can learn anything. And
right.
I know that's part of the beginning process. And I think, you know, I always say when with Presley, you know, as a sophomore, I said, you know, in 3 years, we could not even see a call. You know, it could change that fast. You know, you
Mhm.
can, maybe you're not even going to be, you know, applying to college. I feel like there's such a shift, and we don't know that, we don't have that time thing, but it's just watching and listening to Paige talk about her classes and me thinking, really? Like, that's what we pay
Mhm.
for?
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
I mean, you're a
Yeah.
teacher, so you know firsthand, I mean, being a teacher too.
Yes. And haven't we all felt that at our workplaces sometimes where just like what what are we doing with our time? We could be we could be doing things that are so much more in alignment. And I feel like that's what I was trying to say when my life changed and I was doing less. I think that's a better way to say it. I started to do things that were just more in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And as our children grow up, it's so cool to see them take control of their lives when they don't when they don't have to. There's always someone that we report to somewhere. Even as mamas, don't we report to our kids? But it's so nice to see them at the point where they get to choose what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
it's
amazing.
amazing
And
to
I see
watch.
that happening for our world in general, that people are starting to remember their sovereignty and that they can make choices. And now there seems to be this big hiccup that as people remember their freedom, it's like this passion, like, okay, now what am I going to bust up?
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody calm down. Yes, you have freedom. Let's do it with love. So the angels are, I see a lot of extraterrestrials ready to help. A lot of angels in the field. It's helping everyone remember that it's a lot of responsibility that we have, that free will is the greatest gift, but we must use it with love and kindness. And our free will's been taken from us in a lot of lifetimes. Maybe we didn't realize it, but it really has. We've been directed by authority figures for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe our kids are leading the way with bringing back our sovereignty. So you going into schools and teaching gratitude and mindfulness, and that's right on par.
Oh, it's so. And when you say that, when you look in their eyes and they know so much, and then I feel like I'm a remembering teacher. They're
Uh,
remembering everything. They know it all, you know? And so when I start sharing and you get the excitement in their eyes, like, oh, yes, I remember, you know, it's like, and it just fills my heart so much. I want
mhm,
to I want to go back to the extraterrestrials because that's another big topic these days. And, you know, I went to Bashar a few months ago and he was talking about the extraterrestrials making a presence in the next 5 years. You know, all the talk in the beginning of this year was, you know, all the drones and the whatever else in the sky. But
mhm.
do you see that as like these baby steps for people to start getting comfortable with that? Or how do you explain that?
Sure. There's been a lot of slow disclosure over the last couple of years, especially, that's been designed by our extraterrestrial friends and who they know in the governments across the countries and in the media, because they have been present for so long but shielded in the ways that they do. Sometimes they're like me, they're in body, but they look different in their real form. And sometimes they have been working with governments for a long time, but that it hasn't been appropriate to let that out, because the marketing that's run parallel to that is that, you know, that they're scary or they're going to terrorize us or hurt us. But in actuality, they've always been here to help. They've always shared resources, or there's always been a bartering system. Is there a population of extraterrestrials that are nefarious? Absolutely, just like people. But there's also galactic councils that keep things in line. Um, the slow disclosure that's happening, people can really watch some things that are coming out now and see exactly what's going to be happening if they look at it. Between movies, I wouldn't, I'm going to say bravely, not the scary stuff. That's just pure entertainment,
Mm.
fluff. But Interstellar, um, Contact, that's a great one. stuff that's coming out in the next year or so. And in the skies, go outside, and if you see a star that's not behaving like a star, talk to it, because extraterrestrials work telepathically. And if you don't have fear in your body and in your mind, it's not going to be in your auric field, and they will communicate with you. All of those drones and UAPs, most of them were man-made. There were some in there that were actual extraterrestrials. They were made of plasma, and they were coming in and out. So anyone can contact those extraterrestrials, because they're here to help with the mission. They're getting us to the new Earth. They're very aware that there are people all over the world that have their hands really close to big red buttons and some big plans, and they're not going to let it happen.
Would you mind ending with a little channel, the message from whoever you bring in?
I would love that. I would love that. Let me see who wants to talk. This is Saint Germain. He's all in purple. He's standing with he's standing with Prince, who is an ascended master. Also wearing purple. They look amazing. I love clothes. I just have to say, I think that's why I always notice what everybody's wearing.
Oh, funny.
Love clothes. They both have their collars popped. I just gotta say, that delights me so much. Okay, I'm getting to the message. Saint Germain and Prince. What a pair. Okay. It's actually Prince who's gonna say the message. He's saying that he's still creating music, and he's creating music through female voices. He's doing this. He says, listen, everybody. Listen, everybody. Everything's going to be okay. And he says, look, my friend here, and he references Saint Germain. What we're doing here is we're pulling up all of the worry that we can feel from you, and we're moving it into music. That's what we've got going for you, because we want you to know that we've got you. We love you. And Saint Germain comes in and says, that's right. We're never going to tell you not to worry. We know you do that well. Just keep that up if you've got to. But what we're going to do is we're going to pull it off of you like pellets of rain, pellets of rain. Scoop it right up. Chapel Roan. Prince is working through Chapel Roan. Lana Del Rey. And Lady Gaga. Listen. And there's a man in there too, but I don't know who that is. Jesse Wells. Listen to my music and let it transmute the worry into joy. Listen to the poetry. Saint Germain says, remember remember who you are. You don't have to know where you came from. Just remember you came from love. You come from love.
Oh, love that. What a neat message. What a neat being
You never
souls.
know.
No. Oh my gosh. It's funny because well, Purple Rain, right? Because it's Prince Purple Rain.
Hmm?
You're talking about rain. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I
I
guess
was,
so. Yeah.
and then I was watching something about him a couple days ago. So he's been in my energy. Like I thought of him. And it's like, I think that was like, it was my high school memories too. Like the dances were Prince songs.
Yeah.
And the truth, like, I always felt like he knew the truth.
Yes. You probably brought him in today. I haven't thought about him forever. He's probably came in for you because you've been thinking about him.
Yeah. He's been in my field, but I always, after he passed away, and I've been looking at things like the way when he takes his glasses down and looks, and he does that, I'm like, he knows the truth,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's cool that he came through. Huh.
Yeah, very cool. I didn't expect that. And I don't talk to Saint Germain that much.
Yeah. I've never heard you say, I mean, I've listened to so many things. I'm like, Saint Germain. I was thinking Metatron or the ones that you bring
Yeah,
up.
I was surprised by that. I liked it.
Huh.
Yeah, that was
Interesting.
neat. I liked that.
Huh.
I was great to talk to him.
And you get the feeling of his energy when you have a visual too.
Mm.
You can
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. He kind of like he was sitting right here, like against this pillow. He was like, okay, I'm coming in. Like I could feel my body go like this a little bit, like, oh, here we go.
Huh. Neat.
Yeah.
Oh, Rachel, you have done so much to me. And
Oh,
I just love, I get so excited when I'm sitting here listening to you thinking, oh my gosh, the joy I get in this podcast is knowing I get to share you with everyone. That just
oh,
fills my heart. And I used to be one of those people before I had this podcast that people would be probably so irritated. Ashley's sharing another podcast, but now I can it's all free will. You can listen or you don't.
right. Isn't that great about podcasts that people can that's what I love is that you just put their headphones in and listen and it's their world and no one has to know.
Right, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
so sacred and lovely.
Hmm.
Thanks for
You,
doing what you do.
oh, thank you for doing what you do. And let's talk about what you do and how to find you and all the things that you are creating right now.
Thanks. Well, I have a podcast called Angel Talk. If people would like to hear a little bit about my life and what I do, and that's just wherever podcasts are available. I'm really passionate about it for the reason I just said. I like that people can just go incognito and listen to some good stuff, and it's private. And so I would be really honored if people would listen to that. It's Angel Talk. And then people want to join me for a session or classes I have coming up, or they want to coach with me, my website is where to get all that information, and it's rachelcorpus.com. Just my name. My last name is spelled like Corpus Christi, Corpus.
Oh, when I looked at your website and you have sessions where it says group,
Mhm.
what would I want to have a group? Like, would I bring friends? Like, what is the,
You could meet with your friends or your family, and that's a small group of people where you would share the time and we would just kind of go through everybody, and maybe your loved ones would come through or your angels would come through, and I don't know what would come up. Spirit would know. But you could ask questions of a spirit, or your past lives would come through, or maybe information would come through about your jobs or how people passed. Well, you just never know.
hmm,
I'm just the liaison, so I just kind of show up. But yeah, that would be a gallery or a group reading. And those are lovely in person if you're in the Des Moines area or on Zoom. Yeah, those are just so wonderful. And even though they're in a group, they're quite intimate. Um, People love those. I love doing them. Just so lovely.
hmm. Oh, I love what you do. In fact, I'm going to book a reading once we get off here. I just,
Well,
I need a little bit more of you for me.
I
Anyway.
would love that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.